And welcome back to this special edition of Hannity as we go back to our own Frank Luntz in Washington with his special focus group of American voters as they come face to face with a freshman Democratic senator. Frank.
You've heard from the Republicans. Now it's time for a Democratic response. But before I go to Senator Bennett, I want you to see the single best pro-incumbent ad of 2010. This is language perfection. Let's take a look.
I've been in Washington for only a year, but it didn't take that long to see the whole place is broken. It's time to give them a wake-up call. That's why I'm for freezing congressional pay until we get our economy back on track. I think senators and congressmen should lose their own health insurance until they can stop insurance company abuses. And I'd ban members of Congress from ever becoming lobbyists. I'm Michael Bennett, and I approve this message because I'm listening to Colorado.
What did you think of that ad? Give me a reaction to that ad.
He sounded like an American and not some politician.
What'd you think?
He gave concrete examples of what he would do. He would freeze Congress's pay, you know, the health insurance for everybody. Those were concrete examples that I could look forward to.
What'd you think?
He came down to the ivory tower. He was a normal American, and he didn't come up here and be an elitist.
One more.
Family first. That's what I thought from
really positive. So let me ask you. Now you've been here another 6, 7 months, a year since you ran that ad. The place is a mess. What are you doing about it?
Well, the place is a mess, and
please.
the place is an absolute mess, and it's designed really in its own interest or for its own interest. It's not working well for the American people, and you know, from my point of view, from a state with the third Democrats, the third Republicans, and the third Independents, what I've heard people say on the debt and deficit, for example, is that they want a solution that materially addresses the problem. They want to know that we're all in it together. They want to emphatically know that it's bipartisan because nobody believes in either party's go-it-alone approach. And I would simply add to that that the corollary that the capital markets need to know that their paper is worth what it's worth. And
you guys agree? You guys agree? Yes. Keep going. Everyone at 50, please.
And in this town in Washington, D.C., it looks like, I hope this isn't true, that we're in danger of not being able to get to that common sense result because people here actually don't believe that compromise on these things is a good thing. They're into the conflict. People at home, once you get past the talking points, aren't interested in the conflict because they're deeply worried about the future that we're leaving to our kids and our grandkids.
Senator, don't you believe, though, that a lot of the heated debate we have right now is because of the health care? When the Democrats had control of all the Senate and the House and the presidency, kind of shoved that down the American people's throats, even though they didn't want it, and now there's something coming up where they want, and now they want compromise.
Everyone at 50?
I think that you're right. I think that people saw that as a partisan effort. It wasn't bipartisan. I think that a lot of the reason it was so partisan is because of the way Washington works, because I think a number of the issues that we're dealing with are issues that, in that context, even the healthcare context, are issues that both Republicans and Democrats over many years have supported. But Washington has a way of making it more partisan, and then look what happened. I mean, I ran in a general election this time saying my opponent supported what was then called the Ryan Roadmap, and that only 8 or 10 other congressmen supported that. No senators at that time supported it. And then the first thing that happens is it gets, you know, when the House changes, it's passed. So I think both parties have this way of lurching back and forth to respond to their bases and are not actually solving problems.
So do this. I'm going to start right here. What message would you want to send to Washington if you could?
Well, I mean, I come from a family, a Gold Star family. My brother was killed in Afghanistan. For me, don't forget us. I mean, my father, he fought, and this issue is very important. So just keep us in mind. Don't forget the real people. Once you're elected in office, just remember us.
How do you respond?
Well, let me say, first of all, I'm very sorry for your loss, but it's a perfect example of what we're not talking about in this town. I was on the floor of the Senate today, and I said, look, think about it in different terms. Think about it this way. We've been fighting 2 wars over the last 10 years. We cut taxes. We haven't found money to spend on any way to pay for the wars. So our only theory is to continue borrowing money from the Chinese and other folks to pay for the wars. We are sending our young men and women overseas who are making a sacrifice that's unimaginable to me. I know you have had to live with it. The least we could do is have a grown-up conversation about how we're going to deal with the stuff in the stuff and how we're going to pay for the wars.
Dale, your reaction?
How do you, that sounds good, but how do you deal with the debt ceiling at this point? That is something that is near and dear to all of us. Senator McConnell just came out with a statement about giving control back to Obama. How do you feel about that?
Another way of saying that is by putting all of the responsibility in one place. I think everybody here that's paid a taxpayer salary ought to be responsible for figuring out how to fix this problem.
Do you agree? Yes. Senator, you only got 15 seconds.
What I'd say in the last 15 seconds is that, there's been a lot of talk about what the founders said. One of the things the founders said was we shouldn't drive up our interest rates during wartime. I was on the floor today talking about that, and they're right about that. We've got to come together as Americans and address these problems, not just debt and deficit, but all the other issues that we face.
You guys agree?
Yeah.
Senator, I want to thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Thanks for having me.
And when we come back, the vice chairman of the Republican Conference on the Senate, we're bringing you the leaders, and they're talking about the issues after this.